For the first time in 10 years, the Bank of England have raised interest rates. Now on the phone today to discuss this topic is Craig Erlam from Oanda. First things first, Craig, let's start with America. Now, after a two-day meeting, the Fed decided not to raise interest rates. They left them at a halt. But Donald Trump is calling this a political move. Is this a political move or is this just business as usual?
I don't think we can pay too much attention to what Donald Trump says with regards to individual interest rate decisions. It's the Fed's job to be independent of the government, and therefore to call it a political move is potentially overstepping the mark, although it's not outside of Trump's normal behaviour to not have a view on a number of different issues. I do think it's just business as usual. I think this is a case of the Fed's decided to hold off until December. I think we will still see one more rate hike this year, and then it wouldn't surprise me if we do see three more next year. Where Trump does have a say is who is going to be on the Board of Governors alongside the newly elected, should this all pass smoothly, Fed Chair Jerome Powell. So if Donald Trump wants more rate hikes, then he will have to appoint more hawkish governors, and that should ensure he gets his wish. But when it comes to individual interest rate decisions, that is purely down to the Federal Reserve as an independent body.
Now, Craig, for the first time in 10 years, the BoE have raised interest rates. What does this mean for the sterling?
I don't think it means too much for sterling in the near term. I think we've seen the interest rate hike was already factored in the lead up to the actual decision itself. I think the fact that the Bank of England opted for a dovish hike and warned about the prospect of two more interest rate hikes over the course of the next 3 years shows exactly where the Bank of England is on this. I still think we won't get another one next year. I think we'll be waiting until 2019 for the next rate hike. And therefore, in the near term, what's going to decide where sterling is going to go is probably going to be broadly political. It's going to be focused around how well the Brexit negotiations are going, how much progress is being made when it comes to a transition deal, which is going to have a big influence on the UK economy. And of course, should we see inflation starting to overshoot, then that could start to impact interest rate expectations both inside the Bank of England and outside as well. And at that point, it could have a bigger impact on the pound. But in the near term, I think this rate hike is fully baked in, and I think now it's focused primarily on the political situation and the outlook for the UK economy, which in the near term isn't looking great, although we have had some data that's been more positive over the past few days, but until we start to get some clear progress on Brexit negotiations, I think what we've got to look forward to is going to be very subdued levels of growth in the UK.
What does this hike mean for Brexit? Was it the right move at this time?
I don't think the interest rate hike has any impact on Brexit. Of course, I do think it is obviously linked with the higher inflation figures which we have seen have been driven by the post-Brexit referendum decline in the pound itself. In terms of how this influences things going forward, though, the UK economy has already slowed, so I do think we may see the consumer feel a slight more of a pinch from the rate hike, but I think it's worth considering this is only a 25 basis point rate hike, so it shouldn't have a substantial impact on finances. I think the bigger impact on finances for many people in the UK is the negative wage growth, and this is something that Mark Carney alluded to yesterday. One of the benefits of a rate hike could in fact be that this is reduced a little because of the tendency for a rate hike to support the currency, which, as we've seen over the last few months, it has done just that. But I guess we'll have to wait and see over the course of the next 12 months just how big an impact that's had and just how close back to target inflation will come. The other side of this, of course, is going to be higher wages, and they may be weighed on slightly by this rate hike, but ultimately I think we are seeing some form, albeit gradual, positive momentum.
Well, thank you, Craig, for speaking to me today all the way from London. It's been a pleasure. And thank you at home for watching. Don't forget to click back to Dukascopy TV for more interviews like this. Have a lovely weekend. Goodbye for now.